Hello and welcome to the American Dream Podcast. I am your host, Elias Torres, and today I got another incredible story to share with you all. It's Women's History Month, and this woman is making history with her climb through corporate America. From immigrating from Puerto Rico to living in an abandoned home and constantly being seen as the other one in college and in work, Enna is no stranger to adversity. Yet now she's been named an ALX 100 honoree, recipient of the Women of Alpha Award, and is the co-author of the book Extraordinary Latinas, and just launched her own consulting business. Enna has a plaque at her desk that reads La Jefa, and for good reason. Keep listening to find out more. Welcome, Enna Jimenez. Welcome to the American Dream Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Gracias, Elias.
So, Enna, tell us a little bit about where you're from. Latina, in Boston. From where?
Bueno, I was born in Puerto Rico. My parents are from Dominican Republic. We moved to Boston when I was super young. I was like 7 years old. I moved to Boston, and yeah, we just came here to have a better chance at having a better life. I am the second oldest of four.
So what, you were not wealthy in Puerto Rico?
Yeah,
You have a big
definitely
mansion,
not.
farm, factories,
No,
company? No?
no.
Okay.
Back then, my mom worked at Caribe Hilton as as a maid, right? That was her role. And it's funny enough because I recently went to Caribe Hilton and I was like, Mom, so now we're planning a trip to take Mom to Caribe Hilton Hotel so she can stay there now that she is she used to be there 40 plus years ago as a maid, and now she's gonna get to go back to just visit, which is crazy.
I love that story. Yeah, I know, absolutely. That's so precious,
Mhm. It is. It is.
Moms do these things to us, huh? Yeah, moms are the
Yeah.
best.
They give us that opportunity to understand what it is to have drive, what it is to have resilience. I mean, I'm sure you know, Elias, seeing our parents work from very early in the morning to very late at night just to be able to provide. Both my parents were entrepreneurs when we came to Boston, and they work crazy hours, right? Trying to make ends meet. I remember my mom trying to go to Roxbury Community College to take some classes, and she wasn't able to graduate because, of course, it was either take some
Yeah.
classes at school or work because you had to put food on the table. And so she at least was
Hmm.
able to take some classes there, but she wasn't able to kind of go through and get a whole degree.
Yeah.
And because of that, she said to us, I want every single one of you to always to have a degree. That was like her main thing. She was like, I don't know how
Yeah.
we're gonna do it. I don't know how we're gonna pay for it, but all of you are gonna go to college. And we all did. We all went and
And I
graduated.
think that's that's important because I think I don't know, but I don't know. Well, two things. I mean, that you say that struck me, right? Is like everybody does. I feel like today is just complains about work,
Hmm.
right? Everybody complains. My job is so hard. I work so hard. I don't make enough money.
Hmm.
Our parents are like the good immigrant parent. I don't ever hear my mom complaining about her job.
No, they never
It was
complained.
like I feel like we were like, okay, we get paid $5 an hour. Well, I got to work 100 hours then.
Right.
If that's what, if
That,
this
that's
is
what
what
we
I can
paid.
spend,
Hmm.
that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this job doesn't pay enough. Okay, I'm gonna keep this job and I'm gonna go get me another job,
Right. Right.
right? And
And a
so then
second job.
together,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and then together, and everybody now is just like, oh my god, I hate my job. It's so hard. They don't pay me $200,000 a year. You know?
Is it very interesting how the culture has shifted and changed, you know,
Yeah,
even from our generation, right, to the younger generation. I mean, I look at my kids, 24, 25-year-old kids now, and yeah, they definitely feel like they are like they can't tolerate certain things. Like they don't understand that yes, you get up even during a snowstorm and you go catch a bus because you need to be at work at 8:30 in the morning, which means you got to get up at 5 to make that 6:30 bus to be able to commute to where you need to go to. That
yeah.
type of sacrifice. Oh, they're like, no.
No. So bless your mom. Your
Thank
mom
you.
said you guys have to get education So tell me a little bit about your siblings. Like, I want to
Yeah.
know about this woman, your mother. By the way, I just interviewed my mom on
Oh.
the podcast. It's coming soon.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear that. That's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. It's funny. I love that. I love that. And it's something that we definitely need to do in our family because my mom has such a rich story as well. But yeah, so we came to Boston, and one of the things that my mom said to us, since she was not able to go to school to go to college, and she took some classes at Roxbury Community College, but she wasn't able to get that college degree. She vowed and she said that all of her kids are absolutely going to get a degree. And she would always say, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to pay for it. We don't know, but you're all going to college. And so today, everyone went to college. My older brother, who some people may know, his name is Enna Jimenez. He has his own band, Los Homeboys. He's a Latin Grammy winner. He's the musical director for The Voice in Dominican Republic. I mean, major accolades, doing amazing things, right? My sister, who ended up getting uh, um, oh my God, two master's degrees, right? And so she's doing fabulous working in the education system. And then my younger brother who went into technology and he's at real estate and doing investment. And so he's establishing himself there. And then, of course, me, I was the only one that sort of went down the corporate world and really made a career out of corporate America and, giving back and being engaged. And I know we're going to all of that, but
Representing.
yeah, representing and making sure that there was someone there that looked like me to
Yeah,
be there for others,
yeah.
as I grew up. And I always thought about who was going to be my kids' role models, right? And so that was super important.
You're like, I'm gonna be my kid's role model.
And that's what it was, because I had my
I love
mom, right? My mom was, oh my God, she is a force. She's a force, right? And so I would watch her, and as you can imagine, my mom had a brighter story. This was a family business. We all worked, whether we liked it or not. We all had our day jobs, and then we went there and worked as well because it's a family business. But I would see her interact with customers. I would see her interact with people, and that's where I got this love for helping others. That's where I got this passion for just creating events and creating an experience and understanding what that user experience looks like and what do people really need. And so that sort of blended into who I became, and her drive, her resilience, her this passion for being something bigger than what you are.
I love that. I mean, that's the American dream.
It
You know
is.
what I mean? It's like my son, my youngest, just never does homework.
Mm,
Luckily, he's smart. He's extremely talented. Um, but he doesn't like doing homework. And we were in the
mm,
car. Like, why don't you do the homework? And he goes, Dad, it just doesn't feel like it's urgent or important to do my homework.
wow.
And so
Wow.
I was like, yeah, fair enough. I go, that was super deep, right? Because in life,
Mm,
it's like I've learned so much to be like so many things I thought were important, I realized they're not important.
hmm.
So if you go down that route, you can challenge everything and be like, nothing is really important, you know.
Right. Right.
If you hold on too much to anything, right?
Yeah.
And
No, for
then
sure.
on the other hand, we have to put it in our heads what's important. If we don't put it in our heads, then nothing matters.
Nothing.
And so
Absolutely.
it's like, I'm like, dude, you have to. This is your life journey. Like you got to figure out what's important and what's not important, right? And then we had a conversation with a lot of the teachers because it was like a teacher conference day
Oh
type of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so we talked to them, and they're like, we love him in class. He's one of the best participants. Like he's just so engaging. He's
Wow.
listening. Sometimes he's falling asleep, but he does wrestling. But he helps everyone else with their homework,
Wow.
like in during class. So like
Yeah.
in class, they're like, we want to keep him in class. I'm like, you can keep him in class, like
Because llévatelo.
you know. And then they're like, but she's the problem is when he gets home, he just watches like you all night and does not do the homework, right? But
Wow.
it's like this purpose, right? Of like, why do we want to do what we want to do? I don't know why I went into this tangent, but it's just something that it's like it felt like so simple yet so key to
Mhm.
figure out.
It is. And Elias, when you think about, how are we nurturing our kids today? How are we helping them, right? How are they consuming all of this information? I mean, look, when I was, learning my craft and whatnot, right? It was reading books. It was going to the library, reading books, spending hours in the library, going to, in-person conferences, right? Trying to gather information, talking to a lot of folks, because that's how we learn. Today, they don't need to remove themselves from a computer.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
reality, right? And so, how they consume data, how they internalize it and channel it is so different. So it's interesting, when you think of your son who's going to be the future, right? If he's already at this point saying, I don't really need to do homework, I'm learning the craft, I'm listening, I'm understanding it, I'm capturing it, I don't need to do that. And they're going to be the ones setting the stage for what the future is going to look like. Because they're
Yeah.
going to say, no, we're not going to do homework. Teachers in class, let it be interactive.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that he's not being challenged, right? But it's like, but still, like, it's for a kid to find their passion of what they want to do, and I beat them up here hard. Like they get a lot of yelling still, even though they're older. But it's important, right? And so, like, for you to have done the corporate path, right, for all your family to have gone to school, you got great kids that listen, great siblings, and then you're doing fantastic here. We're talking about, like, how do we teach the kids, how do we teach the new generation? So
Right.
lots of stuff to talk about. Tell me a little bit about this education, this successful career, and that you had. Tell me a little bit about what has it been like in the corporate world.
Well, it's been fun. It's been exciting, but it's absolutely been hard, right? It's a lot of challenges. So, I majored in I went to an all-girls school here in the Boston area, Simmons University. Um, and when I in my community, I lived I grew up in Dorchester, right? And so very much diverse community, church and everything, all my friends groups. And so then I go from there into this all white girls school where I am
Yeah.
like the tiny minority, right? And you're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And so fast forward 4 years, right? Graduate from there, go into software engineering and got an internship as a quality assurance intern. And again, you find yourself in this world of, oh my God, there's a lot of guys there. And there were women. I'm not saying that there weren't any, but there was a lot of guys. And so this whole concept of feeling like I was in a tiny group of people, whether it was at school or whether it was at work, right? And so how do you navigate that? How do you find your voice? How do you find yourself? When I was at Simmons, and I started there, I joined the organization that was the Black Hispanic organization. And I was like, oh my God, but there's a lot of Latinas. Why do we need to be in a Black Hispanic organization? We should have our own. So what did I do? My sophomore year, I started the Latino organization at Simmons University. Super proud, right? And so I still think about that, and I was like, oh my God, I was a very shy person at school. And my teachers, whom I'm still very friends with today, they're like, Enna, you were not shy back then. You had a voice. You knew how to use it. You knew when to use it. And so you take that to when I was in the workforce, right? And now I'm in this career, quality assurance, working in all these software companies in Cambridge, right? Which was like the technology mecca space back then. And I'm like trying to figure out, who am I? What am I doing in this area? Because I didn't really know. It's not like if I studied computer science and I said, yeah, I want a career in this. I had absolutely no idea. Look, I had a high school teacher who said, you should study computer science. And I said, okay, sounds good to me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't know where it was going to take me. But someone said I should do it. And I said, okay. And so I did, and I majored in it. And then I got a job as an intern doing quality assurance, right? And then you work in this for a few years and you're like, where am I going? What am I doing with my career? And it was funny because maybe about 7 or 8 years after being in that, working in several companies, I sort of got it. It clicked. And I was like, okay, quality assurance. I'm doing testing for products. I'm helping the companies have their image, have customers talk about whatever product we're working on. If the customers don't like the product, if that product isn't behaving, functioning the way it should, the customers aren't going to want to be part of this organization. They're going to go to our competitor, right? And so my job being in the QA role was to do my part in putting quality into those products and doing my best to make sure that I can emulate a great user experience. That was my job. When that clicked in my head and I was like, wow, I can make an impact to the company's bottom line. When those words connected, I was like,
Yeah.
that's it. That's my career. That's what I'm doing. And then everything switched for me. Then I was very intentional about where I went and, the types of jobs that I was getting. And, I've worked in all kinds of industries, financial services, banking, education. I even did a little bit stint in an advertising company, which was actually quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so I worked in all kinds of companies and it was all about gaining and gathering experience. Right. And then, so like I said, I started off as an intern, just executing test cases, moved up to being able to write test cases, moved up to be able to write, test plans. And then as you move up the ladder, test lead, test manager,
Vice president.
eventually vice president running a 200-person global team at a, very well-known wealth asset management firm, right? When you've reached that, wow. When I got that promotion, I felt finally validated and seen. I finally felt like I had made it. I had accomplished the dream that I've been trying to accomplish. My family and I, we celebrated that promotion because that was like, Mom, I made it. You hear me? You know what I'm
I know
saying?
exactly what you're saying.
That was amazing. That was such an
Yeah.
amazing
It, it,
time.
it, it, it's I mean, that's the American dream
It
in
is.
an essence, right? You come, your mom was cleaning a maid at a hotel in an island, right?
Hmm.
You have all this jerky touristies come over, do all this stuff, and it's such a humbling job,
Yes.
It's hard, and she did it for you, and then you come and I mean, like it's both you and your mother, right? To like for you to persist. A lot of people complain today, right? A lot of Latinos,
Hmm.
blacks, everybody, right? It's hard, it's hard, it's hard, and then we get seen as being victims and complaining and being whiny, and we get whinier. All the generations getting whinier. That's just plain
Yes.
truth. I don't care what they say. I don't care if they listen to this or not. And then like and you stuck it through. You know what I mean?
We
I
did.
I tell you just to I guess I'm narcissist. I'll flip the conversation to me instead of talking about you.
No,
But
not yet.
I quit IBM
Mm,
because I could not get to vice president.
interesting.
You know what I mean? I quit because I felt like I was being held back. Right? I
Yep.
was there for 10 years, and for me to go to this thing called STSM, Senior Technical Staff Member, that was the first executive position in there. So I made it all the way to like before that,
Got it.
and then a committee needed to approve that.
Mm, yep.
And then some people in the committee didn't like me.
Oh,
And I was stuck with that committee.
oh,
And so because of that committee, I quit. And so I was like, I'm not going to be sitting here. I want to be an entrepreneur.
yep.
I mean, I wanted to be an entrepreneur for sure. But that if I would have been made STSM, maybe I would have stayed. Right.
Right.
But the point is that you persevere. Being a woman, I don't know, man. I would say that it's harder to be a woman in tech world than being a guy, right?
Oh, for
And
sure. For sure.
you,
I
the
mean, the
Latina,
amount of times that I would be cut off in meetings, the amount of times I would be ignored, the amount of times I would be told, no, you're wrong. No, we're going to release this product. No, no, Anna, no. Listen, I don't have enough hands to count the amount of times that I went through that, right? The amount of
you
times
had a
of
nickel.
male colleagues yelling at me in meetings,
For
yelling.
the record, I yell in my companies. I yell at both, just for the record.
Okay, but as a female, we should not tolerate that. And I did not, right? I was like, oh, that is so not happening. you know, we can agree to disagree. I have no problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But there's ways that you can talk to people that is not demeaning. and just no need to go there, right? And so
I
I
know.
went through a lot.
Yeah.
I went through moments where honestly I fell into deep holes, right? It was just went into it, and you kind of, how do I say it? You sort of go into this place where you cannot see how you're going to get out of it. You're like in this
Yeah.
deep hole and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing with myself? What am I doing with my career? You start to second guess yourself. Now you have imposter syndrome. Now you don't feel you're good enough. You don't talk in meetings because you feel what you're going to say doesn't make sense. It's you start questioning your entire being, your entire presence at that organization.
Yeah.
And it takes so much to pull yourself out of that and say, but wait a minute, I'm an accomplished person. I have done so much. I have the records to be able to prove all the releases, all everything that I've done in all my previous organizations where I released products that have gone out with almost close to zero defects reported back for production. I've got all of that. Why am I
Yeah.
letting someone make me feel like I'm not good enough?
I think that you just nailed it, right? I think that it's people. I feel like there's two modes. I always try to like simplify things.
Mm-hmm.
Either you made it, and yet we're always going to question ourselves, but once you made it, right,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to stop questioning yourself. You pull yourself out
Yep.
because you got to remind yourself you already made it. You
Right.
don't no need to ask anybody's permission to anything. And then there's the other stage, right? Is before you made it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a moment where everybody has to feel like accomplished, right? Because everybody's always changing. You're young, right?
Of
You're
course.
changing that accomplishment.
Mhm.
And when you're young, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Right. And so, but the problem is everybody wants to feel accomplished all the time
Right.
without earning it, right?
Yes.
But I'm saying, but the advice for them is it's okay to not be accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be
It's a
20.
ladder. You're gonna move.
Just do
Yeah.
it. Just keep
You're
doing
gonna
it.
get
And
there.
so, like, if you got ignored, if you got yelled at, if you whatever,
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't have your voice, it's okay. You can question yourself, but it's okay to not be accomplished. The problem is when they feel like I am accomplished. No, you're not. You're not. You just graduated. It's like, I don't care
Exactly.
that your daddy paid for your college, and like whatever. Like, it's like, move on, do
Right.
your work,
Right.
do your shit, right? And so I think that those are the two states. Before you're accomplished, once you're accomplished, we cannot. Like I've done. I said to people, I'm done with imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Like I don't.
Yep.
It's like I'm done. Like feeling like but yet I started another company because like I want to start. Like I'm bored, but
Because you got nothing else to do. We get it.
because I got
We
nothing
get
else
it.
to do,
Got
right?
nothing
And so
else
I was
left to
like,
do.
it's like, well, this time I'm proving to people I'm CEO this time. So I
Oh.
in all my companies I was number two, right? And I was the CTO.
Ah.
And so now I have to prove to people like my imposter syndrome now is as the head honcho as el jefe.
Claro
Like let's
que
talk about la jefa. I love that. When did you get that sign? Is that when you got the promotion? Is that the moment
no,
for the
I know.
reminder?
I wish. No. I got this maybe a few years ago. I think before the pandemic. From I went to an LA shop, a store in LA, and I saw La Jefa, and people have always associated me with the word La Jefa throughout my career. I got folks who used to report to me that to this day they call me Enna. Where's the diva? Come on, Enna. And so I was always I got folks who call me Chief, just because that sort of was how I presented and how I showed up every single day at work, right? Um, and so La Jefa, and I'm taking this into my next chapter, right? So so like we talked about sort of being accomplished and making it, then I kind of went into a series of companies where I was going in to help organizations transform, right? It's like, okay, how do you take your QA companies, your QA departments, and you level up, you mature, right? And now I'm starting sort of my third chapter where I'm going to kind of go into quality assurance consulting and consult, right, and offer my services. And I want to be able to kind of gather all the jefas in quality assurance, and kind of do a network. Because here's the thing, Elias, quality assurance is it can be a career, but it's not seen as a career. I made it a career. You will find that there are many, many women that are in quality assurance. However, they haven't made it a career. It's a stepping stone. They may have started
Yeah,
as developers, product managers, right?
yeah,
Technology. But they've not made it a career. And I want to be able to share with people the fact that this can be a very promising and enriching career, and that you should look at quality assurance as a career. And so I want to really inspire others to come into this space and think of it from a long-term perspective. And I want to specifically focus on the Latina women because,
Yeah.
when I'm out here hiring, it is so, so hard to find women in general, but let
Yeah.
alone Latinas,
Let alone Latina.
you know?
I think that well, by the way, I'm just gonna tell you my secret. So I went to my undergrad, University of South Florida in Tampa.
Okay.
There's a lot of Latinas there, and there's a lot of Latinas. I go to the computer science school, and then there's the like Latina women in computer science clubs, and there's
Ooh,
everybody Latina women is
nice,
here. So
nice.
I told you where you go get them.
Yep.
So with the problem is that you want to go like down the street, and you're not gonna find them there.
Right, right.
But I love what you're saying. I was in Japan. I was fortunate to go to Japan for the first time
Ooh.
and learn a little bit about the Japanese culture, and everybody just has so much pride in what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like the barista, coffee maker, just so much pride. They're
Mm-hmm.
making that coffee, they bring it, they serve it, they're happy. You know what I mean? And I think here, every back to the thing, and nobody's happy with their jobs.
Right.
And so I think what you're saying is a little bit of that Japanese values and virtues, right? Of
Yeah.
chasing the. You're saying is like I was talking to somebody, right, and it's like about this Latino problem of like we just need to go talk to them and teach them, right? That there are careers, right? They just need
Mhm.
that information
They do.
as opposed to yeah.
They do. They
So
need
what
to.
you're
They
doing
need
is
to
valuable.
see. They need to see us there. They need to see people that looks like them. We talked earlier about, who's going to, that my mom was my role model and I'm the role model for my kids, right? And that's where this whole passion stemmed from, right? Because it's like I look at my kids who are now 24, 25, right? And I'm saying to myself, if I was not the person that they can look up to, right? Who would it be? How do they find someone that they can say, hey, yep, they came from, you know, when I first moved here to Boston, when my parents moved us here, we lived in an old abandoned home. Okay. That's where I spent my first 2 weeks. It was a burned down building. We had one mattress that, five of us, there's six of us slept in. And that's where we spent the first 2 weeks. And to go from that to where I am at today, you know what I mean? An accomplished, seasoned executive with so many accolades, right? To have accomplished that, those stories needs to be told so that need to continue to be told so that others who are growing up today, as you know, who don't have food, who don't have homes, that they can feel like they can do it. They can accomplish their dreams. They can get there. If they see
Yeah.
some of us who've accomplished it, that they know that they can also do it. And so for me, it's just super important to be able to continue to stand up, continue to share my voice, continue to let people know that you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to. And then my passion is quality assurance because that's where I spend my time. Right. So I want to bring more women, more folks into this industry.
I wow, this that's so inspiring, and I agree. That's the message
Yeah.
I think that we have to give to people. Look at what we did
Hmm.
to come here. I love what you're doing. I love that we shared the Amplify Latinx Award,
We
the first
do.
100 honorees.
I know it's so
Uh,
exciting, to amplify Latinx and everything that they're doing, to amplify the Latino voices, right?
yeah,
We need organizations like theirs, like Enna does, to help us continue to amplify
yeah.
everything we're doing.
I love what you're doing. I love connecting with you. We're both in Boston, and I just it's not a big podcast. This is not like my biggest success in life, but I just want to cherish the most to capture the stories so people can see themselves, right? And
Yeah,
it's just a variety of people, a variety of levels of success, variety of geographical parts. But I just never get tired of hearing the immigration story and the American dream accomplishment.
yeah, and thank you for
Very
creating this
nice.
space. Honestly, because we need more people like you, to be able to, again, share your story también and create a space for all of us to have this dialogue. It's gonna reach
Yep.
us. I always say, if I can reach one person with my story and I can help them make a change in their life, I'm good. Like, thank you. That to me is an accomplishment. If I was able to help just one person, you know.
Yep.
And so these conversations continue to just sharing and having exposure, I think is so important.
And and all I know is that we have a lot of people to inspire.
We do.
We do.
We absolutely
There's
do.
plenty of people that need a little bit of a push, like you said, like that teacher that said, "Go study CS."
Hmm.
I say it all the time. I'm being more intentional, right? When I speak to other people, like it's like I have to remind myself, just say something like that.
Yeah.
Like to my son, right? It's like I have 2 in CS. I got to get the third one in, and I'm like, I was doing CS homework with him, and I was like, "You're very good. You're very
Good.
good." I'm for a person that doesn't do homework. I'm amazed how much he
Wow.
knows about programming.
Wow. And it's amazing how
And
much our kids picked up from us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
My daughter's an entrepreneur, right? She started her own company, San Amor. She's a graphic design. She has her own KR design studio. You know what I mean? So she's like, and so she has totally taken on after me, doing public speaking as well. And so you're like, oh my God, I made that. I was able to pass on to her something that is so important and that I'm very passionate about. And then my boys are doing their own things, trying to, make their ways and get their careers going, and it's so important, like you said, it's so important to help, to give back. One of the organizations that I participate on is the Science Club for Girls. I don't know if you know them. They're in Cambridge, and they create spaces for young girls, Latinas especially. There's so many Latinas in their group, to be able to learn about the different sciences, the different techniques, the different things they can be exposed to. And I love being part of that organization because, again, like I said to you, right, I'm all about the sciences. I'm all about getting exposure and making sure that the youth know that there are careers that they can go into. That you don't just
yeah,
have to be a fireman, a police officer, or a doctor. And not that there's anything wrong with that, right? There's absolutely, but that there's so much more out there that is available to them, and they
yeah.
just don't know.
No, if you're a policeman and you're a firefighter, great.
I
If you're a
mean,
doctor, great.
yes.
But it what we're trying to reach is make sure that kids that don't have a steady job, that don't have a career, don't have a path,
Hmm.
right? A steady path, right?
Yes. Yes.
Just if you're hopping service to service job, service job to service job, without making that a career, right? The point is, career might be seen as a bad word, but it's just a path, a journey,
Mhm.
right? That you have a purpose, and that's what we want to help kids.
That is indeed.
Um, Thank you so much.
Ay, gracias a
It's been a
ti.
pleasure. Yeah, and then we'll stay in touch. The next one is with your mom and all your
Oh,
siblings
I
together.
love that. Absolutely. Totally will make that happen. Thank you so much, Elias. It's such a pleasure. I feel like I've seen you in different spaces, but I haven't had the opportunity to actually sit down for a talk. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for listening to the American Dream Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And share the episode with your friends. Our work isn't done until everyone has equal access to their dreams.